tired, which is good. Means that I can be mellow today. So, what are we talking about today? Because I've needed to switch off and have nothing powering my brain at certain points throughout the day. I've been watching the Love Island All-Star series. This means that the UK one, but in recent years they've started bringing Americans onto the UK Love Island, which I think is a really great thing. Really balances out the two cultures, and I like it when they mix and match. One of the things I've noticed is that the Brits swear so much, whereas the Americans, from what I've seen, they don't swear at all, and it's such a huge contrast. And none of the American guys, I think, are into the girls that they're with. None of them. And I think part of the reason is because of this. It's just not pretty. Every second sentence they're just swearing. So that's one thing that I've definitely noticed. The other thing that I've noticed is that there's a guy called Tommy. Tommy and Sean, quite similar characters in some ways, but Tommy, he's just the nicest person. He's just the nicest person. And he wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's really emotionally intelligent. He can express himself more so than the Americans, actually, I've noticed. One of the things that I've always liked about the Americans when I was growing up is I used to watch a lot of American TV. The reason for that was because I really connected with their emotional intelligence. So I grew up on people like Bailey and Charlie from Party of Five. I grew up on guys like Pacey from Dawson's Creek. In my last video, I was saying, I don't even know why I was into Pacey, because I was talking about James Van Der Beek, who was Dawson in Dawson's Creek, and he recently lost his life. And I was thinking, why was I into Pacey? I couldn't remember why I was into him. And I said that he had issues, but actually I was surprised by my saying that, because I always liked the really emotionally intelligent characters. I didn't tend to go for the guys who were just sort of cold or whatever. So I went back and just watched him, Pacey, as his character. And he's been written so well. He's been written so well. The things that he would come out with, the way he would speak from the heart, it was so attractive. And I totally understand why I was into Pacey. He was just a brilliant character. And Bailey and Charlie from Party of Five, that's self-explanatory. Both of them were emotionally intelligent in different ways. And I would just sort of go back and forth between liking one more than the other. And after those series, we had Sex and the City, which was such a different type of show. We hadn't had a series like Sex and the City prior to Sex and the City. It was sort of a revolutionary program for that time. And I know that a lot of people say that it was that show that made women the way they are. I can't fully agree with that, because I think if you've got an independent mind, if you can think for yourself, you don't just follow whatever's being touted to you. But then again, maybe most people, the general population, is just like that. I don't know, but I used to watch that show. It was really well written as well. And believe it or not, I wonder if you can guess who my favorite character was. If you haven't seen that show and you're a man, I don't know, would men like Sex and the City? I don't know, it was such an addictive show. Believe it or not, my favorite character wasn't Carrie as you might have thought, because Carrie was the one who had the best clothes. She had the best lifestyle in a sense as well, because she was a writer and she tended to date the best guys, sort of. Sort of. She was just written very well. The other two girls I never really connected with. There was one girl called Charlotte. She was just really, she had, she was just really stiff and very, she could never relax. She was very preppy and very proper, and there wasn't anything chill about her. And there was another woman called Miranda. Miranda wasn't my vibe at all, I think, out of them all. She was a lawyer, very sort of gung ho type. And finally, there was Samantha. Samantha was written the best, in my opinion, other than Carrie. Probably Samantha, really, because she came up with the best lines. She didn't care what anyone thought of her. She just lived her life on her own terms, but she was also really, really kind. I remember this one episode where she'd got cancer and she was sitting in a doctor's office and she couldn't get an appointment, and there was a nun that was sitting next to her, and they would both turn up every day to try and get an appointment with this specialist cancer doctor. And the nun said to her, well, I've worn my nun outfit and I still can't get an appointment. It's quite a hilarious scene. I might, if I can find it, I'll link it for you. And then there's Samantha had started dating this actor who was really hot, by the way. I think his name was Smith Jared. And the receptionist, she was just a difficult lady. She was having none of it. She didn't care that Samantha was, she didn't care about Samantha's background as a PR exec and that Samantha always got what she wanted. She didn't care about the nun. But then there's one day where this receptionist is reading a magazine and Smith Jared, I think that's his name, that's his character's name, is in the magazine. He's an actor that Samantha starts dating and publicizing him. And Samantha sees this receptionist reading this magazine and she realizes that the girl likes Smith Jared, so she says, oh wow, if I was able to get an appointment, he might just turn up with me at the next appointment. And the girl books her in really quickly for the next day, and then Samantha turns to point at the nun and she says, and if you get an appointment for the nun, he might even kiss you on the cheek. I think it was something like that. So the receptionist books the nun in for an appointment as well. It's great. And so there was a kindness to Samantha that revealed itself every now and again. Carrie could be bratty, which was really off-putting about her. She was obsessed with her clothes, and yes, I love my clothes, but I'm not. I love my clothes, but if push came to shove, I could let them go. I'm not like her. I'm not like her at all. There's one scene where she's dating this guy called Aiden, who, by the way, was the best guy on this show. I want to talk, this is not just about Sex in the City. I want to kind of go into the nice guys. The nice guy syndrome. She's dating this guy called Aiden, who was my fave, other than Smith Jared, because Smith Jared, although he was not only hot, he was kind as well. So Aiden, he's just the kindest guy, and he was so calm, and he was sort of country, he was a country boy in the Big Apple. And Carrie was into this guy called Big, who I think was a finance guy. No surprises there. He lived the big New York lifestyle, which she was really into, but he really messed her around, and she had this constant back and forth with Big, and she ends up cheating on Aiden with Big. Aiden was the loveliest guy, but he was also hot, you know? He was a hot guy. He was hot and lovely. And there's this one episode where his dog is chewing her very expensive designer pair of heels, and she's having a meltdown over it. And it's not cute, you know, it's just not cute. So there were moments that Carrie just came across as really selfish and bratty, and she just didn't understand when the good guy was in front of her. And she ends up losing Aiden because she cheats on him with Big. But Aiden was written really beautifully as well, and Aiden was the older guy after, you know, after these Baileys and Charlies and Pacey's. You have the older man who's Aiden, and you know, you're growing up at the same time with these shows as time is passing. So the type of men you're becoming interested in is changing as well. So yeah, it was actually a great show, and I don't think that a woman would watch that show and think, okay, I have to go and behave like that. Like I said, Samantha was one of my favorite characters. Doesn't mean that I go and behave like Samantha. You know, you just appreciate her for her spunk. So the reason I was thinking about all of this is because I've been also watching Love Island, and Tommy, he's such a lovely guy. I don't feel like an attraction to Tommy in any way, whereas people like Aiden and Pacey, you did feel an attraction to them. And I think it's because they have so much personality. So you can be a really nice person, a nice guy, but you have to have the personality to go with it. On this Love Island series, All Star series this year, there's a guy called Zach who's really calm. He's American, really calm. He's not into the girl he's with at all. She's British. She swears a lot. You can tell he's not really into her. She's into him. I think he's got another side to him that's not being revealed. I think he does know how to play the game very well, but he's the kind of country boy. He comes across as a country boy who is very calm and very nice, but he also keeps a lot to himself. So there's a bit of mystery around him. And I'm not saying that that's how you should be, but something about Tommy is just not connecting with the girls at all. And he's not connecting with me either on a kind of, oh, he's hot type of level. I look at him and I think he's a great guy and he's marriage material, but I don't think in due course, as in later on, he's going to be a great husband. But he doesn't have, I was about to say he's almost too nice, but you can never be almost too nice. These are the guys that are great. What's missing with Tommy that's just not resonating? I'm not sure. Maybe I can verbalize it better another time. But right now, he's just not. He ended up getting. He ended up getting thrown off the show yesterday with the girl that he was with. Talking about the girl that he's with, she was obviously just with him just to be in the show for longer, for the airtime, and she is considered beautiful by viewers, and everyone keeps commenting on how beautiful she is, and I cannot see her beauty at all. And for me, the reason I can't see her beauty is because she doesn't really have any kind of personality per se. She's just very, she's just super regular, and I can't, and there's no sort of deep emotion in her eyes. Whereas I think the men on the show, that on this series that I like Harrison and even Zach, even though I think he's playing the game a little bit, there's a lot of emotion in their eyes. There's a guy called Sean who I've commented before. He's also a nice guy, but with Sean, sometimes he puts his foot in his mouth, but I think he's really grown in this series because he's been able to stick up for himself, which is really, really important. He's got a lot of emotion in his eyes as well. So I think the eyes tell a lot. And I'm thinking of the girls that are there any girls that I've liked this series? Not particularly. None of them have really knocked me out of the park in any particular way. There's a girl called Lucinda who I think came across poorly in the last series. I do think she knows how to play the game very well, but there's an innocence about her as well. She's one of these girls who can go into, she knows how to play the game, but there's also an innocence that comes out of her, which the other girls can be very jealous of. And she's a pretty girl, she is. But I think it's this innocent that they don't take to. And I find it quite endearing, whilst also knowing that she is a very good game player. And this was all connect. Why was I thinking about all of this? It's because I'd been talking about having spoken to that guy last 2 weeks ago or so, when I was coming back from Manchester. And in the comment, there'd been almost a surprise that there wasn't, even though I really enjoyed the conversation with him, I didn't want it to go anywhere. And I think there's a huge difference between men and women in some senses, but not in others. For example, in Love Island, you can tell the girls who are using the guys, and you can tell the guys who are using the girls. For example, Zach, the American guy, he's not into her, the girl that he's with, but he's sort of using her. And then with the girls, you can tell that the girl that the other girls are jealous of, Lucinda, who's got a sort of innocent vibe about her sometimes, who's a very good game player, she's also using the guy that she's with. I mean, they're all sort of using each other to stay in the program for as long as possible. But I just mean that this isn't just a men use women, women use men. But one thing that I think I have noticed frequently is that I think men can just see a pretty face and they'll just be like, okay, she'll do. She's pretty enough and that's it. They don't really rely on chemistry in the same way that women, or at least I do. So as an extension of this, I think men will talk to a girl if they find her attractive, generally speaking. I don't think men invest time in just chit-chatting with anyone. Whereas most of the time, I will talk to most people if they have decent energy around them. Doesn't matter who they are. Grannies, granddads, dogs, cats, the young. You could be anyone, and I think if you have a good vibe about you, I will engage in conversation with you. And you can connect with certain people, but not want it to go anywhere. Whereas I think with men, it's more basic, and I think this is why men can get themselves into a lot of trouble sometimes with women. But then there are men who just use women as well for their bodies. So it's not just men are being done wrong by a woman. It goes both ways. Women, I think, if they're not careful, can get used by men who are just interested in one thing as well. But I really did think about this because watching content around the male space, the manosphere stuff in the past, which I've stopped watching because I just find it so negative and unnecessary. It's just, like I've mentioned previously, I think when you start watching that stuff, not only does it start making you see, from my perspective, when you read comments, you start seeing men in a way that I'd never seen before. I like to maintain an innocence around how I see men, whilst at the same time being aware of the psychopaths and the sociopaths and the narcissists. But I like to not think that, I mean, you find out too much about men when you're reading the comments by the men under these videos. They're sort of outing themselves, which has horrified me. So I stopped watching that content. But one of the things that I did realize at the time that I was watching stuff like that is that men less inclined or less motivated by chemistry, or it doesn't even sort of, am I wrong in this, you guys? They're less aware of chemistry and more aware of how a girl looks. And not all men. The emotionally intelligent ones are very, very different. But let's just say the average guy, the regular guy. Similarly with the regular girl, she is just trying to get the best for herself. So this is all very general. There are people who don't fit this mold. But that's one of the things that I did recognize when I was reading comments and watching these type of videos, is that the male focus is always about looks, and they don't really delve into character. And maybe that's the standard for average women. Again, I just think you can't pit men against women. Every person's going to be different. I think what I was trying to say is that I can have easy conversations with really nice people. I can even connect with them on a certain level. But if chemistry is not there, it's just not there. And that's unfortunate, but that's just life. It's not possible to enjoy speaking to every person that you speak to. And not every person that I speak to do I consider someone who I connect with. I can speak to a wood plank. Okay? I can speak to a wood plank and get something out of that wood plank. Hello, I lived in Japan for how many years, trying to get some of these people to converse with you is like drawing blood out of a stone. So I'm an expert in that regard. But then there are people you have conversations with and it's smooth and it's easy and you enjoy the conversation, but that's all it is. It's nothing more than that. And then once in a lifetime, hopefully it'll be more than that, you'll connect on such a deep level and it's instant and the chemistry is insane. And so I think that's what men should be. Decent men. Let's get this fine-tuned, shall we? Decent men should be aware. I don't know if I'm unusual as a woman that I need that chemistry. You can see a lot of women who just use guys. But I think for the most part, I don't think I'm wrong in thinking that chemistry is very important to women. And if they don't feel chemistry, then they're probably not really into you at that level that they desire. Which means, as a man, you need to really be able to fine tune what chemistry is and understand what it is, so that if you're feeling chemistry, but she's not, then in the long term, it's not really going to work out. Because I think most women will be seeking that. And it doesn't mean that chemistry doesn't mean that chemistry is something that only a certain group of people can create. It means that anyone can create it, and it's important to develop that aspect into your personality. I think when it's natural, you don't have to do anything. It's just easy. It just happens. But coming back to the lovely Tommy, and Jack. Jack, again, is a very nice guy. Jack was Irish and he was let go very quickly. Unfortunately, Jack just had no Ritz. Tommy can connect with women because he's emotionally intelligent. But Jack was just someone who he couldn't go deeper. And he's young. he'll have time to develop. And Tommy will make a fantastic husband. But there is, don't know how you teach Riz. I don't know how you, is Riz personality or is it something else? I really don't know. But you do have to have an element of emotional intelligence. Maybe not. Why do some women go for the bad boys? Like guys like Big in Sex and the City. Did he have Riz? Yeah, he did have Riz. He did have Riz. But he was just not available. He was just not available emotionally for Carrie. So I suppose what you're really trying to do is develop personality, charisma, and emotional intelligence. Because if you're someone who's got no emotional intelligence, well, I guess those people who don't have emotional intelligence will date people who also don't have emotional intelligence. Moral of the story is just be yourself, and it will come, it will happen when the timing's right. And that's hard to hear, I think, for the younger guys, because you know they want to date and they want to experience all the love stuff, which is fair enough. And yeah, it's just a different generation of girls and people, not just girls in general. It's just a different generation coming up. So, oh, 26 minutes. That was just something that I was thinking about. I am enjoying the Love Island All Star series this time around. Harrison, he came off badly in the last series. I think it was over summer. He came off not great. He's redeeming himself. Harrison is the type of guy that will make a great husband in the future. Right now, he's just too young and he sort of needs to date a little bit. And he's that guy that attracts girls. But once he settles down, eventually, he'll make a really great husband. Because I think he's got a lot of, I think he does have heart and he has charisma. He's just young. Everything's about timing, isn't it?